Hey guys, welcome to Embrace Nerd. This is the 1-4 episode of Young Justice overview. We're going to be just going overviewing the show itself. I know a lot of people, when they do reviews, they break down every little part and the technical aspects and this and that. And that's not what we're going to do here. We're just going to overview what happened through the episode, and we're just going to have conversations, things that I thought about while I was watching the show. Um, Actually getting to geek out with you guys, because I figure if you're watching the show, you already know what happened. And I think most people want to hear and talk about some of the things that maybe they were thinking about as well. So I hope after the video ends, I hope you guys leave a comment and let me know some of the thoughts you had. Maybe you disagree with me on certain things, maybe you agree with me on others. But I've loved Young Justice. I started watching Young Justice. We didn't have cable television, and so when I was in high school, and I got into it like right before I went into college, and I remember watching it on YouTube. Actually, sorry, I bought the seasons later on, so I made up for it. But that's how I watched it. I would watch episodes on YouTube that would pop up, and then eventually bought all the episodes. And then I bought the season pass on iTunes and watched the second season while I was in college. And like many others, I was so aggravated when they canceled it. So, me starting this YouTube channel, to be honest with you, one of the reasons is because, there's not many people I know that are into Young Justice. And to have that opportunity to talk to different people, and nerd out about some things that I love sounds pretty freaking awesome. So, okay, so I'm gonna start with 1-4 this time, but in the future, we'll be doing these weekly. And guys, I wish I could just start with episode 4 because I'm shook. I can't believe they did that. I Let's just start there, and then we'll backtrack, and we'll come back to that, and then we'll end on it. But let's just get the elephant out of the room. And by the way, if you have not watched episode 4, spoiler ahead, but man, is Connor actually dead? Like, did they actually go there? Did they actually kill Connor Kent? Like, I don't know if they did. My theory is that he is with the Legion, that the Legion was able to get to him in time, and that their whole goal was to make sure that Connor Kent didn't die. That's my theory. I'm hopeful that that's the situation. In the comics, most of the time, a Superboy gets to go and be with the Legion of Superheroes for a little bit. So I'm hoping that he's alive. But holy crap, I can't believe they went there. That totally shook me. So let's backtrack though, and let's go back to the very first episode. So I'm digging this. If they continue to do like 4 episodes and then tightly wrap everything up in 4 episodes and add to something new, that kind of excites me. I know people are probably pumped, especially the girl fans of Young Justice, that McGann and Connor, they're celebrating the wedding, and you're getting to go to Mars, and they take all the group there to go to Mars. And it was interesting seeing like the different cultural differences. So like, men on Earth, usually, especially in American culture, but I think in most cultures here in on Earth, that as men will go and ask, the family for their blessing to marry their daughter, and how in Mars it's actually the opposite. I thought it was cool. It just shows how good of a writer, and I'll probably compliment not Jeff Johns, Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti, yes, on just their world building. Man, I wish they wrote. I wish they were like the head editors of DC Comics. DC Comics is getting so bad. Marvel is too, but man, like if they could just be the ones to overview the stories in multiple different ways, like their storytelling is just so much better than some of the things that I'm seeing in comics, and it's making me not want to read comics anymore. It just blows my mind that they don't allow a Young Justice series. It's just like a comic series. It just blows my mind. Anyway, how they're breaking down cultural differences. And what was funny to me, I wrote down space racism. The racism in Mars, because I think, in America, we think that it's only here, but the reality is not. You go to any other country, like I've been to, and there's plenty of racism. It's not as apparent because it's easier for it to not to be as apparent if, you think everyone looks the same. But then you realize, oh, this group doesn't like this group, and that group doesn't like this group. And things can be very tribal. And I would say that the racism in Mars seems to be something similar that you would find in Brazil, but at the same time, something you would find in North Korea. And Brazil, because there's different types of people that look differently than each other, very, skin tone can range in Brazil. You go to Brazil, you can see someone, darker, you can see someone lighter, you can see someone somewhere in the middle. But in North Korea, there is a legitimate class structure. And if you marry above or below your class structure, you're always going to be stuck at the below end of that class structure. You don't get to marry up in North Korea. North Korea has much worse problems, sadly, than just, prejudice. But that's one of the issues they have. And it's interesting they kind of lay that out. There's a couple different opportunities where they kind of show that, and I'm kind of curious how it all works with Mars because McGann's mother married the father. And so McGann's mother technically married down in, their culture. But it seems that maybe there's a middle ground there because it seemed like a lot of the white Martians had to live deeper underground. Like they didn't get to have the privileges of living like a city life. And so I thought that was interesting. So I wonder if there's somewhere a mix of the two. So like if you marry, maybe you lose certain privileges, but then the other group gets to move up in society a little bit. I don't know how all that works. I'd be curious to find that out. But I'm glad they layered some of those things because it opens up doors for later on that I thought was pretty interesting. I liked how they set up certain things into the show, setting up the way that our characters were going to follow them, and the mysteries. I like how the Legion of Superheroes, you're not totally sure what they're exactly doing. And in some ways, I kind of hope, I know that the reality is that our heroes are going to run into the Legion of Superheroes at some point. But I almost hope, besides Superboy, that maybe it becomes a secret and we don't get to see those interactions. At least this season. I hope they just keep on popping up in the background, like the Watcher in Marvel or something. That'd be kind of cool. But the end credit change. So in the third season, they did a cool thing where they would have like something simple. Like they would have, the wolf be taking a nap or, some kind of image that you could just kind of watch as the end credit scene. But this time they've added something different where they're continually building on the story with different characters and building up that lore, adding little teasers for what you might get. Now, one thing I'm going to compliment on, and I think if people watch me do other videos, I think you're gonna see that maybe I disagree with some of the things that are happening now in comics and movies and television. Um, and a lot of that reason is because I don't think they're doing it with a genuine mindset. Some of it is annoying because it sucks to see certain characters you've seen for so long and you know them in such a different way to be completely changed. It just doesn't feel genuine. And honestly, I've always felt like there's certain characters that, you know, comics and stuff could build up uh, to give representation to, and they never do it. And they always take these other characters and change them, but they never give representation to new characters. And because the reality is that lore takes time, and you have to build to things. You have to build up to something like this, and you have to build up characters. You know, it's like DC and Marvel, they have all these different great characters that are like B list, C list, but we've seen one after another. If you make good content, those characters can grow. Now, I understand that Halo is not originally, you know, I'm not going to try to say the nationality of Halo in the show, but I know she's not traditionally a Muslim character. She is a blonde, white blonde character. But she is like a, I don't even know what list you would usually put her as. She's a character that they've had in the vault of DC that never gets used. And Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti, with their deep lore and knowledge of DC Comics, took that character and did something new and original with it, and has built up a character that no one even knows really much about. And I think that it is such a cool thing, but it's also an example of how you could represent characters correctly. And I know a lot of people that watch Young Justice will probably disagree with me on certain things, and that's cool, it's whatever, but I really like how they do it. And I feel like they give respect to people and they tell good stories. And, when I watched DC Fandom, a lot of the stuff that I saw, yeah, you had the representation, but everything was not good. Like the trailers were boring for a lot of the stuff, but they know how to do it right. So compliments to them on that. And I like Halo. I think she's a great character, and I like how they were adding that stuff to the credits. So collectivism. When I was watching the show, you could tell that the Martians are very tribal, and there's no way they can't be collectivist because they're constantly in each other's head. They are a hive mind, and it almost seems like a normal human probably couldn't survive being there very long. Like a Kryptonian with a strong mind, someone like Beast Boy, that has some Martian DNA in him a little bit, at least in the Young Justice lore. Maybe they can handle it, but like other people, I don't know. It seems like that's where you might get in trouble. Like, would Nightwing live if he went in there and he got attacked the way Beast Boy did? Or would he be put in a coma like Aqualad in season 2? Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of crazy. But, their political structure is very collectivist, very tribal. And, bringing up back the space racism again, it was cool that they point out how basically they're all the same. Literally all the same. And basically the only difference is that the skin pigmentation is different. But, you know, people do what people do. And I wish that people here would realize that. And sadly, I think people that are nodding their head don't realize that. That we're all, human beings. Kind of crazy. But anyway, I like how they were expressing, how they deal with trauma. And, Beast Boy, I'm not going to lie, the first couple episodes, he was getting kind of annoying, and I like Beast Boy a lot. And I love the actor who plays Beast Boy, but he was starting to get a little annoying. But then you wrap it up in the third episode, and you realize the reason he was acting the way he was acting. And of course, it uses opportunity to build up lore in the future with the Legion of Superheroes. So that was really cool. And, bringing up some of the relationships. See, dealing with trauma also was building up the lore and relationship with Miss Martian. And talking about representation, like, you have to build up characters the same way as like Batman's had comics for 70 something years. If you want a character to get big, you want people to love these characters, you have to do the work. You can't just sit there and say, this character is totally more powerful than this other character. You got to prove it. You got to do the work. And I appreciate Young Justice for doing the work and building up the relationships with Miss Martian's family, her issues with her brother and her sister, building up the Martian lore that I know is different from what it is in the comics. I absolutely love. And it's one of the other reasons I wish they were more involved with DC, because it's great. I've hit a lot on building lore, so I'm going to skip that and go into the marriage classes. Well, I mentioned that too, actually. So just the cultural setup for the marriages I thought was cool. I thought that it was cool that there are traditions about how basically you build the place you get married. The men build the foundation, and then the women build the, I don't know what technical word you would use, but the structure that surrounds over your head. I like that. I guess put it this way: is like they build the floor, then the women build the roof, and then it becomes an opportunity for the men and women to spend time with each other. And of course, it's almost like story wise, it's almost like they're building the structure, your hopes and dreams. Like they're building up your hopes and dreams just to crash them all down at the end of the fourth episode. But it is what it is. I wrote this down before the fourth episode, but I wrote down fan service XOXO and all the kissy lovey-dovey stuff, because I knew especially the girl watchers of the show, the ones that the shippers, all that stuff, I knew they would probably be going nuts over all the kissing and the hugging and all that. And man, when she I know there's probably some fans that are just crying, and I feel bad for them, but crazy what they end up doing. But I'm sure there's people cussing out Greg and them right now going, F you guys. But I thought, I liked everything they did there. It was cool. We spent so much time with them that it was cool. But, fourth episode. So, man, the ship. So I thought it was interesting how they did the ship. I'm kind of still curious about how all that works. It's like, does all the ships go in there and just make a bunch of ship babies? Or basically, it's like, don't worry about who the daddy ship is? Or is it just kind of one of those things? I don't know. But I like the new ship. And it's sad to see the old ship go. But, I'm a fan to see what's coming. The one thing that's kind of funny, and, it's like, I've noticed a lot of times in shows where, something will be done and both sides of any political aisle will take it the way they want to. But I did think it was funny that, Miss Martian's kind of like Martian fluid. It's like she fits like her own Martian path. Which I am curious, like, if, she ever got pregnant by Connor, like, what type of baby would she have, what type of human Kryptonian Martian baby would be made from that. But I, thought it was cool, though, that, they were able to have that dialogue, deal with those issues, and then come together as a family at the end. Spaces Racism Part 2 is what I wrote down, but I think it was just dealing with even the other structures of the issues there, just dealing with, I think I've already hit on this, but the class structure and the family structures with the Red Martians. Hit on Jim real quick. Jim Jacks, it looks like, is what his name is. I am very curious to see if maybe he'll go to Earth. I don't know if he will, but I was thinking about, like, if we got a new Martian to come to Earth and be a part of everything. There's Jan and there was Jim, and I thought, which one would it be? And I kind of think that Jim would actually be kind of cool, like a Red Lantern coming down to Earth and being a part of the Young Justice team would be pretty cool. I have a feeling that probably maybe he's a little too old for that, but why not? I thought that'd be cool. And so to end it off, two things. Questions. These are the questions I have. My theory is that the Legion of Superheroes are there to save Connor. I think that was probably pretty obvious. Now, did they succeed? Did they not? I don't know. They didn't show us, so I'm going to say they did succeed, but who knows? The question that I have is, I do not think that Apocalypse made the virus bomb, but I do not think that person that was in that cloak armor situation was there on behalf of Apocalypse. I think, now, crazy theory, but I think that this villain, as the same way that the Legion is from the future, I have a feeling that this villain is also from the future. And I think it'd be cool if the light is still around 5,000 years from now. And so Greg Wiseman and them are basically telling us that, we watch these shows and they plan it out. I know they have plans for like the 7th season. But I like the idea that, especially as we continue to go through time with Young Justice, that basically this battle, and maybe there's a bigger philosophical point to this, but this battle between the light and the heroes, it's not something that just will ever end necessarily. This is going to be a conflict that will continue till the end of time. And new heroes, new situations, new villains, but the conflict of the light's plans are always going to be a thorn in the side of our heroes, even if we go 20 something years from now and we're following Damian Wayne and John Kent and their legacy, and we're not even following the heroes we're following anymore, that this is going to be a continuous battle. In some ways, I really like that. I dig it. But I am curious about who she is, because I do not think that she is involved with Apocalypse. I think she is there for other reasons, and one of those was to specifically kill Connor Kent. And how would she know? I think it's a she, but how would she know that Connor was going to be there to save the Martians, to plant that extra kryptonite bomb, unless she knew, because she's from the future? So that's my guess. I have no idea. I'm sure there's a fan out there that's like, oh, it's definitely this character. I have no idea. All I know is I really dug that. So anyway, and I guess the last thing we'll end off with is Connor dead. I don't know. We're going to have to see to find out. But man, what an episode. What a fourth episode. That's going to be crazy. Like, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I don't know how much money they've gotten for Young Justice. I hope they got more money this season. They did the third season. You can definitely tell that they lost a lot of their finances like they had when they, were on the second season on Cartoon Network. So I hope HBO Max gave them more money. And if they didn't, I hope they get a fifth season. I hope they give them more money because, some of the action scenes and stuff, it's like, I feel like they hit all the story points that you want, and that if, they don't have to worry about, certain things, which I have to say though, even then, you have like the third season where they had the scene where Nightwing kind of has that issue where he's kind of like remembering Kid Flash and he's like almost like in a hallucination situation. And they did such a creative way to like save money, but to also show what they were doing in an exciting way and have action portrayed in a way that would make sense with what Nightwing was going through, but also was a budget issue, and that's clearly why they did it. They continue to do that type of stuff, but we see so much cool stuff from anime that if they could do that with Young Justice, I feel like it would capture just even a bigger net, a bigger audience. So, we'll see. But is Connor dead? I don't know, but I have a feeling he's not, and I have a feeling that the reason McGann couldn't sense him is because maybe he's not in their timeline anymore. That's my theory. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. I hope you get to be involved with the future of this. This is like my first real video. I don't know if it'll be the first one I put out, but it'll be the first video that I've made for this account. And so I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you stick around for future videos like this, because I need people to talk about this show with. Okay? So anyway, write down in the comments. Let me know what you think. And guys, I hope y'all have a blessed day, night, whatever you're doing. And yeah, let's embrace the nerd. Bye, guys.